What a way to start the review, huh? This is Freaky Tales number 1, issue 1, No Sleep. It's got 2 stories in it. It actually surprised me with that because I don't remember seeing a title page for the second story. We just kind of transition right into it, and it's very jarring. But that's neither here nor there. First, we got to do full disclosure time. Oh, let's look at the whole book. Let's sound effects, man. All that frantic clicking deserves a good sound effect. Gotta kind of like whoosh around, like you're doing some kung fu in an old Shaw Brothers movie. Featuring 3 thorns. All right, let's scroll down here. So there's 2 stories, one by Guido Martinez, one by Marcel Dupré. True fact, absolute true fact. Marcel reached out to me. And he's like, "Yo, you want to review this?" And I'm like, "Sure." Then he immediately was like, "Hey, and also Love University." I'm like, "I bought Love University, but sure." So full disclosure, he sent me the PDF for this. Then, like last week, Guido Martinez, I hope I'm pronouncing all your names correctly, reached out to me on Twitter and he's like, "Yo, man, you want to review my book?" And I'm like, "Marcel already hooked me up, bro." So boom, there you go, full disclosure. Let's jump into this. We start off here. I think this was one of the pages that they advertised this with on Kickstarter. Something about the coloring in all these pages feels weird to me, and I can't figure it out. I don't know what it is, but I'm like looking at it now and I'm like, yeah, I still feel like a little weirdness with the coloring on here. Something's doesn't sit right to me. But you can see like immediately we're jumping in here. We're showing a menace. Look at this big scary monster threat. In fact, let's zoom in so you can really see the big scary monster threat. Now naturally, our heroes right here. City's on fire. We're too late. The fires are still burning. We arrived just in time. I like her attitude. Boom! And so the battle is joined. Every one of the characters has her ability. I kind of like jumped over here because like she's just like busting out crazy magic everywhere. You get all these cool blue colors. Maybe the coloring is a little just too bright across the board. That might be it. I don't know. I generally like the line art. Like I have no complaints about the line art. There's one place where they're walking and somebody's leg looks funny, but that's like the only thing I really noticed while I was reading this. I'm not even going to show it. It doesn't matter that much. So we're getting crazy magic thrown around. We're getting crazy kicks thrown around, and we're getting crazy sword action right there. 1, 2, 3. We see what each of the characters here does. We're introduced to what they've got going on. Magic, martial arts, big sword. Done. Let me jump down to page 7. Now, we're still pretty early in the book, so I don't think it's too much of a spoiler to say they beat this introductory battle, thus establishing them as characters who are competent, characters who can go in there and do stuff. And the only real complaint I have with this particular story is the writing. It's the dialogue. It's nothing but the dialogue. They seem a little too self-aware. Top right panel. Quest concluded. Challenge beaten. Pay earned. Right there. That actually, I went, wait, and had to reread it to make sure I didn't just kind of like hallucinate that, because that just pulled me right out. That sounds a little too video gamey. I don't know if that was really the intent, but that sounds very video gamey to me. It sounds like something I would say playing, WoW or Final Fantasy 11 or no, actually Final Fantasy 11 I never would have said that. Final Fantasy 11 just had me like crying because that game was brutal. Oh, you can de-level. God, what? What? No. Anyway, I digress. So that kind of pulled me out of the story. So, they're heroic. We get some discussion about this is a little world building. We just beat a whole squad of demons. So we get like to know the characters. We get to know the world they're in. These facial expressions are great. Like she's just happy. She's like, look, horns. Like that should be a meme. Just take her face, caption it, horns. Done. Good stuff. Let me jump to 15. Now, I don't think it's like too much of a surprise. They've defeated a big menace in like 5 pages to establish a threat. So of course another threat shows up. And it leads immediately to a battle. Look at this, man. Look at this. Sheep Fu. This villain, this monster right here, busting out Sheep Fu. Now remember they mentioned horns? Dude's got a horn. I don't know if this horn is like growing out of him or if that's somebody else's horn or what, but that's a horn. He's got horns everywhere. A little crazy teeth action going on. Look at these tusks popping out of his mouth. It's cool looking, ain't it? And Sheep Fu. So he makes a mockery of the town guards. And he's here looking for trouble. Now from there we take, we have like a cool fight scene. Lots of very dynamic poses going on. Super dynamic. I mean, just look at what I'm showing you right here, man. Very much manga inspired with the dynamics. Everything is so fluid. The anatomy is generally pretty darn good. I'm not going to sit down and like start breaking down like the bone and muscle structure because that's not my jam. If it looks reasonable, I'm usually willing to give it a pass. Nothing here looks unreasonable. I mean, look at this dude, man. He just like kicked this guy in half. We're done. We're done. We don't need to look at anything else here. It's just a cool, crazy panel. Look at this awesome diagonal it's on. Like, yeah, that's pretty dope, ain't it? That's pretty dope. So the first story, The Three Thorns, it's a good action story. There's a little bit of a irreverent, like Slayers kind of vibe. There's hints at some very deeper other stuff going on in the story that we're not privy to yet. Now, the thing that really kind of threw me for a loop with this book, and I hope I'm going to like the right page. Let me just jump to like 26. Oh, I didn't. I went too far. We'll come back to 26. Oh, dag nabbit. Oh my gosh. We went back to the beginning for literally no reason. Why? No one knows. The next story, I think it was called Titanium Blade or something, written by Marcel Dupré. It's a futuristic story. It's sci-fi. Humans have been like enslaved by these aliens. The boys here with your food. About time. Thank you. Place it down at the desk. Here you are. I hope you enjoy. Spsh. And so now we immediately know everything we need to know about their horrifying, terrifying world. These alien overlords are working the humans to death. It's like Deep Space Nine. So we jump over to this crew, and we get like a completely different art style. That was one of the things that was kind of jarring here. It feels like the art changes. Sometimes on the same page in here, and it doesn't look the same all the time. It was kind of weird. It's a weird experience, but I really enjoyed it. In fact, I think this art would have looked really cool without the coloration if it had just been all line work and grayscale like a manga. I think that would have been pretty impressive. Something big is coming our way. Boom! I can't see. What is it? Mecha or kaiju? Yes. Let's zoom out a little bit so you can see this. And as soon as I saw this, I went from being like, to being like, yes, giant monsters. Yes, yes. And I had a lot of fun. The writing here is pretty good. The action stuff with the giant monster, their car, this is all really, really cool. Look at this, man. Pew, 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 pew. Shooting crazy lasers and stuff. So that introduces us to the characters again. It's like that first story. We're seeing them exposed to like a credible threat, and then we transition from that to something deeper, to something that sets up the next issue. So they demonstrate that, hey, they can fight a giant monster with their crazy cool laser cannons. And so we go from a giant monster to them trying to solve the problems of their world. So you got giant monsters, cool cars, awesome colored hair, and there's also like a naked elf girl. You don't see anything, but she's totally like naked. She's just got like a cloak on, you know? And that looks like it's going to be like the key that drives the story into the next issue. It's fun stuff. Post-apocalyptic alien invasion, Earth nonsense. I mean, come on. That has been a staple of science fiction for ages. And if you look at like anime or manga, man, you can go all the way back to... Oh, it was the one that was adapted into the third part of Robotech. What was that, Mospeda? I hope I pronounced that right. I think that was the third one. Like, with the Invid and all that stuff. Like, very similar idea. You got big, giant stuff. You got people fighting. It's awesome. I wonder if this is going to turn into a road trip or a mecha anime type thing. I'm not sure. I kind of want to see what happens. But hey, gotta wait for the next issue for that. So that's what I thought about Freaky Tales. It was pretty fun. It was pretty fun. I don't think I knew when they were running this campaign that it was a 48 pager. If they said, and they probably did, they probably said, there are 2 stories in here, full complete comic tales, totaling to 48 pages. And I just totally missed it on their Kickstarter campaign because I just scrolled through and I was like, oh man, that looks cool, but my budget, you know? Oh, if I had infinite money, or not even infinite money, if I had a little more disposable income, I totally would have backed this. And I've already said, like all the upfront stuff about, where I got this PDF from and that kind of thing. So you can judge for yourself my honesty there, but I assure you, this was something I did want to back, and I didn't back it at the last second, and I'm kind of regretting it now. I know some people who did back it, and I hope they enjoy it as much as I enjoyed reading this, because this was like 2 fun little action stories. Like they're totally like, if you had to grade them, on a scale to go to 10, they're probably like 7.5s. But I have a very skewed sense. Like I would rate a lot of like Golan Globa's B films, like Delta Force and stuff, as being at around that point. So if it's an action story, it's an action movie. Like, what do you want from it? It's not Shakespeare. It's not going to try to be Shakespeare. It's going to try to be something awesome. And I just noticed something that just started bugging me. I can hardly see her nose ring right here. Let's zoom in. Yeah, it is there. It just didn't show up at first glance. I didn't even notice it was there until I like really paid attention to it here while I was talking. I'm like, wait a minute, is it up here? And I just saw it. I'm starting to get rambly, so I'm going to shut up. You all have a great day, great night, great whatever you got going on. I sure hope to see you again next time. Until then, bye bye. Take care of yourselves.